From an early age, retirement is sold as the grand happy ending. Work hard now, truly live later. But what no one tells you is that this later keeps getting postponed. And for many, it never comes. You accumulate years, not freedom. You give up the present in the name of a future the system constantly redraws, pushing the finish line beyond your breath. The bitter truth is this: retirement isn't the reward. It's the promise that keeps you obedient for a lifetime. If you choose to keep going, be ready to face the discomfort. Perhaps the greatest blow isn't losing time, but realizing too late that it was never really yours. There is an ancient promise, repeated like a mantra since the earliest years of work. Work hard now. Wait your turn. One day, you will retire. And then finally, you will be free. These words sound like a distant beacon on the horizon. Something that guides, motivates, and gives meaning to daily sacrifice. But there is something cruel about them. It's not in the words themselves, but in the silent construction behind them, a construction that shapes our vision of time, purpose, and personal fulfillment. This promise carries with it a logic so deeply rooted that almost no one questions it. You can only be truly happy after fulfilling your productive role. It seems harmless, even wise. After all, who doesn't want financial security? Who doesn't wish to rest, travel, breathe without rush? But there is one detail few stop to examine. This narrative was built in a world where producing equals worth. And when that worth is postponed for decades, the human cost becomes invisible until it's too late. Have you ever stopped to wonder why so many people, upon reaching the long-awaited retirement, feel lost? Why so many see this moment not as liberation, but as a silent emptiness? Because this phase, idealized for decades, rarely arrives accompanied by the enthusiasm necessary to live it. And often, when it finally comes, the body no longer keeps up, the spirit no longer vibrates, and the mind no longer knows where its center is. That is why I say clearly, retirement is not a promise. It's a sale, a social construct designed to keep you running until the end. And when you finally get there, you find there's not much to find. And worse, when you look back, you realize the path you took was walked with lowered eyes, busy hands, and a forgotten heart. It's as if you spent your whole life running to stay in the same place. As if every step taken was to ensure you would be safe tomorrow, but never truly present. Let's end with brutal honesty. Many die before even living it, and don't even realize they were deceived. You spend decades working exhaustively, sacrificing weekends, postponing trips, avoiding luxuries, investing, saving, planning, all in the name of a future that seems distant but promising. But that future is not guaranteed. In fact, it was built like a horizon that moves further away as you approach it. It's like chasing a prize that changes position every time you try to reach it. And so, you live a whole life looking forward, but never truly living. How many parents dedicated their energy to their careers, letting their children grow up without constant presence, only to realize at life's end that they missed their childhood? How many men and women abandoned passions, projects, and dreams believing, I first need to get stable? How many sacrificed health, relationships, and purpose thinking everything would be worth it in the end? And in the end, there's not much of an end to enjoy, because the body hurts, the mind tires, and the freedom, finally won, feels useless without the energy to use it. And here comes the most painful question of all. If you had to give up yourself to get there, who will enjoy the freedom you so dreamed of? Because freedom without vitality is just an empty word. And life, without present meaning, becomes an endless wait for a tomorrow that may never come. And in this process, many people end up creating an identity based on accumulation and status. And when those pillars disappear, a vast emptiness remains. An emptiness they didn't even know they were carrying. The system doesn't need to kill you to use you. It just needs to keep you busy until there's no time left to live. And what is the most effective tool for that? Exactly this. The idea that freedom can only be achieved after decades of sacrifice. That's why you hear phrases like, save money. Your old age will depend on it. Don't spend now. Think about the future. You'll only be able to relax after you retire. Work hard today to reap tomorrow. All of this sounds rational. It even seems wise. But it hides an insidious logic. You live as if you were training for a game you'll never play. You work as if every day were a race against time. But forget to ask where you're running to. And meanwhile, opportunities are missed. Trips aren't taken. Relationships are neglected. Passions are shelved. Dreams are postponed. For a future that may never come. And worst of all, this constant postponement makes you lose touch with what really matters to you. Over time, you start living by others' expectations, by social goals, by outside standards, and you leave aside what was unique and authentic in your existence. And the more you follow this path, the harder it becomes to turn back. Because routine takes root. The fear of change settles in, and doubt about your own purpose becomes a constant burden. And the most frightening part, you don't even realize you're changing, that you're becoming someone you barely recognize, that you're betraying your own self in the name of a promise that was never yours. One of the greatest traps of our time is believing that retirement will bring what you postponed for decades, as if, suddenly, the accumulated fatigue, the compromised health, and the internalized routine would magically disappear the day you stop working. But the reality is different. Most people don't wake up at 60 full of energy, will, and eagerness to live adventures. They wake up tired, with bills to pay, worn out bodies, and empty souls. How many plan to travel and discover they no longer have the legs to walk so much? How many want to start over and realize they no longer have the strength to learn new things? How many dream of freedom but feel lost without a routine to follow? And here comes the final irony. You worked your whole life to have free time, but no longer have the energy to enjoy it. Worse, many don't even know what to do with that time, because for so long, the only recognized identity was the professional one. When it disappears, many feel lost. And so, retirement, which should be a new beginning, becomes a painful mirror of what was lost. And in this mirror, many find a stranger, someone who lived a whole life without ever stopping to feel what it was like to be alive. And then, the great revelation arises. You spent your entire life preparing to live, but never decided what it really meant to live. The system doesn't trap you with bars. It traps you with promises. Promises that one day it will all be worth it. That one day you'll be able to breathe. That one day you'll be able to live. But that day rarely comes. And when it does, it's not what you imagined. Because the system understood something fundamental. The more you postpone life, the fewer chances you have to live it. And so, it convinces you that human value lies in what you produce, in what you accumulate, in what you leave behind. And when you finally stop, you ask yourself, I did everything right. But why do I still feel empty? Because you lived for a future that never came. Because you postponed the present for so long that it simply disappeared. And the cruelest part is that often you didn't even notice the present had gone. It was replaced by spreadsheets, goals, financial projections, and an endless agenda of tasks. And in this process, you distanced yourself from yourself. And the farther you get from yourself, the harder it is to rebuild what was lost. Until one day, you wake up and realize maybe the best way to prepare the future was to live the present with more courage. Many die physically earlier than they imagined, Others die emotionally long before that. They lose enthusiasm. They lose curiosity. They lose connection with themselves. And yet, they keep moving forward, as if the only way to exist is to keep producing, as if living is synonymous with enduring, and no one questions it, because the system doesn't want you to think about it. It wants you to keep running, even if your feet bleed, even if your heart slows down, even if your soul screams for meaning. And when you finally reach the finish line, you discover it was just another barrier. That freedom was not there. It was on the path you ignored. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is this: you lived a whole life thinking you were walking toward freedom, but never knew you could have chosen another path. And if there is such a thing as fate, maybe it is this: to be led by a route you didn't even choose, to arrive at a place you never desired, and to remember, in the end, that you forgot to live. Think about it. How many years of your life have already been invested in something you didn't really want? How many purchases did you deny yourself thinking it was just temporary? How many unique experiences did you ignore thinking you could wait? And more importantly, are you working to build your life, or to sustain a system that doesn't even recognize your value? The first step to break this cycle is to understand that life is not a long-term project. It's a daily experience. Free yourself from this logic. Start questioning what truly matters. Decide for yourself what the price of your effort is. Because freedom doesn't come from saving more. It comes from living with purpose. From choosing where to invest your energy. From deciding what the true value of your life is. And maybe, just maybe, true success begins with a single question: what is my own value? And this answer, my friend, no one can give you. No one. Except yourself. And perhaps this is the greatest responsibility of your life: to rediscover who you are and live accordingly.